Yo, brother Bridge here. Was banging boy and girls. I'm saying about the sun moon. Or so today we're gonna be talking about the cremation of care. What does it mean? All right, so you might be familiar with what the cremation of care ritual and Bohemian Grove. In Bohemian Grove, you heard about the cremation of care ritual where they say they sacrifice a child, a little baby, to Baal or Moloch. You know what I'm saying? Baal being the ancient Babylonian god, you know what I'm saying? Also Moloch, or the same deity as that would be Jehovah or Yahweh, all the same energy. Now Baal, you would also, you know what I'm saying, anytime, like you hear bull, bell, Baal, like the Bulls team, that's symbolic of the god, this deity Baal. So cremation of care. Well, okay, so let's start like this. The sacred feminine, okay? What is the sacred feminine? Symbolically, the sacred feminine is represented by, in the tarot cards, it's represented by the feminine principle, the nurturing aspect. Because the male principle, the sacred male principle, is the provider. The feminine principle, the sacred feminine principle, is the mother principle, the nurturer. The father he provides the light, the information, or brings the food home. And the mother assimilates this information, light or knowledge, and raises the household, the children, also keeps the household together. Also, she takes the food that's brought home and prepares it. And I'm saying, we're just speaking symbolically. I ain't trying to ruffle no feathers. Really don't care if I do though. So, yeah. Now, this is also represented in the Masonic compass and square, the Masonic symbol, because up top you have the compass, the V like this, and then down under you have the square. And then in the middle you have the G. So the compass is the male principle because, all right, well, the male principle encompasses, it makes the circle, the 360-degree circle that would keep the square or keep everything. The square makes a circle, which is the sphere of influence, the circle of influence. You only concern yourself with that which is inside your circle of influence. And the more that you do what needs to be done within your circle of influence, your sphere of influence, the more you do what needs to be done, the bigger your sphere of influence will be. For example, if I worry about myself, figure out, you know what I'm saying, who I want to be, what I be, work on myself, boom. Figure that out. Then I can, then it goes from me to my household, to my street, to my neighborhood, to my city, to my country, to the world. Talking about my influence. All right, so that's the male principle represented by the compass at the top in the Masonic that symbol, the universal Masonic symbol. Okay, now the square at the bottom, the ruler at the bottom is called a square. Now, some people say that this is representative of females, a woman's legs open during sex, and the male principle is on top. Now, for anything to be created in this world, you need the feminine, male and feminine principle for you to create anything. Those two things need to be present for anything to come into existence, mentally, spiritually, physically. Now, out of this union, you have creation. What comes forth from the sacred feminine. And what the sacred feminine brings forth is care. The G in the middle, the generative property that comes out of that Masonic sign. The G. Some people say it stands for God, sacred geometry. It could stand for a picture's worth 1,000 words. However, what comes out of the sacred feminine, out of that union, let's say this is care. Now, when we say care, we're saying that everything in this creation, whether you know about Gnosticism and you believe it's an inferior creation, everything here was created with care. That's representative in the Fibonacci ratio, the 3.14 pi, because a lot of these geometric shapes, like the Fibonacci spiral, that shows care. That showed a sense of intelligence. This intelligence is care, because everything in this reality, even just cosmic law, is care. It shows that there's cause and effect. That's care. In The Godfather, it's my favorite, one of my favorite scenes. Vito said to Michael, he said when Michael was a little boy, he said, Michael, women and children could be careless, but a man can't be careless. You know what I'm saying? The creator God, you know what I'm saying, can't be careless. Even though he made mistakes. I mean, the demiurge is very, inferior creator God. However, the feminine principle is care. It's care. And like I said, that's illustrated how everything is so intricate here. Like it's so subtle and things are all interconnected. That's care. Also that was evident in Westworld. In Westworld, Anthony Hopkins kept saying that his partner Arnold was so careful. He was careful. He was careful. Arnold represented the feminine aspect. Anthony Hopkins represented the demiurge. No, actually, the demiurge would be the son of Sophia. But anyway, he represented the male aspect. His partner represented the feminine aspect. You know what I'm saying? Care and all this, that, and the third. But his partner also represented Lucifer, because he gave those androids consciousness, light. You know what I'm saying? To question who they were and question everything. And they became willful. So remember, even Lucifer is a messenger of the sacred feminine. All right, so now let's move on though. So we know that care is what the sacred feminine does. Even dark matter. Dark matter or the dark mother is melanin. The sacred father, or the uncreated God or unknown God is the fire. But he sends light, black light, dark energy to the male principle. The male principle sends that dark energy to the feminine principle. She incubates, it creates. Now, but this dark mother is dark matter. It's the gravitational force that holds the universe, the galaxies, creation together, so that everything just doesn't, float off into space or whatever you want to call it. It's what holds everything together, and out of that comes everything that you see, all the dimensions, all the galaxies, so that is the birthing canal. That is the mother. That's the big vagina, big black vagina that you come out of. So everything that comes out of her organically has melanin, dark matter, which connects you to everything. That's care, the connection. That's care. Okay, so in these cremation of care rituals, you see, first of all, the cremation of care, we cremate care every single day. And I'm gonna explain how. They don't only cremate care in Bohemian Grove. The World Trade Center was a cremation of care ritual. Man, this goes back far. Okay. First of all, the World Trade Center was a cremation of care ritual. The two pillars were Joaquin and Boaz, or Jachin and Boaz, two Masonic principles, masculine, feminine principle. The tower with the antenna was the male. The other tower was the feminine. Now, in between those two towers, you have another building called Building 7. It was a small tower. Now, you know that the ruler always sits in between. In the throne, he always has his hands on the two armrests. That was the two towers, male, feminine, but the ruler sits in the middle. In this case, the ruler was the sacred feminine. She sat in between, building number 7. That's why this building, it was absolutely necessary for this building to fall, because this building represented the sacred feminine, the goddess Tara or Tarot. Yeah. So that whole situation was not a war on terror. It was a war on Tara, the goddess Tara, or truth, Taruth, Tarot. All of their, because you could actually see the two towers on the tarot deck. Another thing is a lot of these psychological operations, false flags, whatever it is that you're seeing on CNN, on the news, a lot of these things can be decoded through Aleister Crowley's Thoth deck, because that's the system of magic that Hollywood chooses to, that's the system of magic that they apply. The Kabbalistic, they're a cabal. You know what I'm saying? So they use the Kabbalistic teachings of Aleister Crowley and the OTO. So if you know what I'm saying, if you enjoy decoding, these events, you could use any deck, but the Thoth deck, Aleister Crowley's Thoth deck, is what they use. Now, okay, so we just got done talking about how the World Trade Center was a cremation of care ritual. Now, That tower in the middle, building number 7, had to fall because that represented the sacred feminine. And that was saying that, okay, what the cremation of care means is we're systematically, spiritually, mentally, and physically, because for magic to work, it has to be applied on all 3 planes. I'm saying you apply them on all 3 planes, and your shit is guaranteed to work. Now, so physically, mentally, metaphysically, and spiritually speaking, we are doing away with the whole principle of caring. Now, we all know how it feels to be hurt, or we all know how we all have things that we don't want done to us. So naturally, you wouldn't do these things. You just naturally wouldn't go around doing these things to other beings. That's just the natural way of life. I know what it's like to feel pain, so I'm just not going to go around and inflict pain on people just for the hell of it. You know what I'm saying? Now, these cremation of care rituals are doing away with that thinking process. It's getting that out of the way. It's okay. If I know what it's like to feel pain, so I wouldn't just go around giving everything that I encounter pain, but I would do so under orders. I would do so if my government or my boss told me to do so, even if I feel that it's wrong. You know what I'm saying? The feminine principle is true love. It's caring about others, human care, doing unto others, treating others how you treat yourself. So with these cremation of care rituals, what they're doing is they're trying to get rid of that way of thinking. They're doing away with it. This is also another definition of selling your soul. Doing what you know not to be right for you, but doing it because you're under orders or doing it for some sort of gain. So we've all been cremating care. You see what I'm saying? Take example of the towers. Spiritually, this happened. It came down astrally, it happened. Then it happened physically. Now look at the results of the world after those towers fell. And you can see what took place. You can see the results of what took place spiritually. Okay, one example. And this is really subtle. There was a time when, before the towers fell, New York City officers wore light blue. After the towers fell, everything was dark navy blue. It means things. But you can look at the mental state. They dropped the tower, the 2 pillars, and now they have this big square, a portal, many different things. But we know that the base, the towers fell and now there's a base, because the square, when we're talking Masonically, we're talking about base thinking. We're talking about base thinking. So that was what was brought about. So that's why they would even want to, you know, imply or apply these cremation of care rituals. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, we're all guilty of it because we've all, you know what I'm saying, every time you shit, man. I would go as far as to say every time you pay a bill. Every time you go to work and don't want to. You know what I'm saying? Because it's against your own will. You're doing it out of fear, not out of love. You don't work because you love it. Some of us do. Some of us are that lucky. Okay, so talking about the tarot, we're talking about major arcana, minor arcana, but the word that you can recognize there is archon. They say it means secret, arcana. I'm saying it means secret, the big secret and the little secret. However, you still recognize archon, principal energies. These tarot cards, each card is a frequency, is a principal energy. Just like each constellation is a principal energy. It's an illustration of a certain energy that makes up this universe. So that's what each tarot card is. So when you see these Hollywood stars coming out in the halftime show on the Grammys and they're dressed up, a lot of the times we don't even know that they're dressed up as archonic figures, tarot figures on the tarot card, and they're depicting the sacred feminine in upside down or backwards reversed symbols. Like instead of the sacred feminine conquering the beast, you know, they'll show Katy Perry coming out and she's ushering in the beast. The sacred feminine is ushering in the beast. You know what I'm saying? The male principle, the lower aspect of the male principle. Bringing in the lower aspects of the male principle, the draconian aspects of thinking. You know what I'm saying? When it should be the other way around, she's supposed to soothe the savage beast. You know what I'm saying? But these symbols, they okay. When we're talking about magic, we're talking about your mind creating for you. But if you don't know that, then your mind can create for others. But how do you get your mind to create? It's like the QR code. It's like scanning the QR code on your phone. You know what I'm saying? Your eyes download these symbols. Consciously, it means nothing. Subconsciously, it means a lot. You know what I'm saying? It communicates subconsciously. Once it gets there, it communicates unconsciously or the causal plane. And once a thought or an idea or what's the word I'm looking for? If I can get an intent to access the causal plane of my unconscious mind, you know what I'm saying? Like love or the opposite of that. If I could get that to penetrate my unconscious mind where I'm with just like what keeps my body temperature or what keeps my eyes wet or what keeps my heart beating. If I can get an intent into that part of my consciousness, then everything else is cake. You know what I'm saying? So that is the actual goal with this. And I'm saying why they would show you these symbols placing themselves as archonic principal energies. Madonna's another one. Madonna's another one. She likes to come out as Inanna on halftime shows. Eminem, Brother Bobby spoke on Eminem. And you know, hey, this takes me into something that Black Dot said. Black Dot said that hip hop was the last evidence, the last offering, the last thing that the gods gave to this world. Because after hip hop, you never saw a new expression of music come out. You know, we had jazz, the blues, rock and roll, and then hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Which was always, it was us, the gods. So Black Dot said that hip hop, the thing that's so special about hip hop was the tempo, the beat, the 1 2 3 1 2 3, or I think it was 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4, whatever. The tempo that it goes to was actually universal. This being said, anything, that's why hip hop is the only musical genre that, like, you could put conga music over it, you could put classical music over it, you could put, no matter what music you infuse with that rhythm, with that tempo, it'll go. It's universal. It's the only music that's so universal. That's why, you know, these Kabbalists were like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Couldn't believe it when they looked at it mathematically. It was like, yo, this shit is a whole new algorithm. Way back then. So today, they like to portray the white rappers as very lyrical. Eminem, you know, the king, and you know, there's a whole bunch more. Now they even getting ratchet because they catching on that, okay, the lulz, you know what I'm saying? The lulz, that's what I call them. They're not mumbling. They're on a new algorithm. They're communicating intelligibly, so much so that you can't understand. So you say it's mumble. It's a new algorithm. So they trying to catch up. But anyway, what they did was, and the way that they could even get in the game was, they put the image of Eminem in the rap game. I think he was the first one. Vanilla Ice started out Vanilla Ice, but they have to insert themselves and they have to show you. They have to show you so that you believe, because once you believe it, your mind makes it real because you're connected to the cosmic mother. But also they have to show their own. It's like the 100 monkey theory. They have to show their own that it's possible. They have to see one of theirs doing it, and then it'll sink into their subconscious. Holistically, I want to say across the board, it'll sink into their psyche, all white people's psyche, and then they'll know that, okay, now we can do it, and you know, that's how they stay in the game. So you see it being done in hip hop. You see it's being done. It's been done with your mythology. So this isn't far-fetched. It isn't far-fetched to know that Greek mythology, Roman mythology, all mythologies, they're talking about you. All ancient mythology. The word ancient, I'm saying, the word ancient, word to Asir, the Duke of Tears, the word ancient should just mean black. Because when they say ancient, they mean you. So the same way they need to show you themselves as archons and principal energies, dressed up as principal energies, you know, tarot figures, is the same way you see them showing you that they are, you know, with Eminem and Elvis and all this other shit. Yeah. Also, Cremation of Care. I watched not too long ago a movie called Fahrenheit 451. So in this movie, Michael B. Jordan was a firefighter. But in the future, they believe that firefighters, their jobs were to burn books, because books books were wicked. Yo, this shit was crazy. So anyway, as I'm watching the movie, right, the dude's name was Montauk. Michael B. Jordan's name was Montauk. I was watching a lecture the other day with Isaiah the Duke of Tears, and he mentioned a tribe, a Moorish tribe named the Montauk Moors. So I'm like, wow, put two and two together. Now, the pirates. The pirates mean men of fire or firemen. The pirates today are the bloodlines that we see running government, the U.S. government. The Bushes, the Kerrys, the Doles, the Clintons, like these are the descendants of the pirates, because the pirates, the men of fire, were British mercenaries that were allowed to keep their fortune. They came to the free world to do what they did over here. And I'm saying to pretty much what ISIS is doing. It's crazy they gave that group that name. What ISIS is doing in that part of the world is what the pirates did way back when. And they were allowed to keep their fortunes because they were part of the British bloodline. They were mercenaries, you know what I'm saying, from the British court. They were allowed to keep their fortunes, but what they did with their fortunes are they created what is known as Ivy League schools over here. The Ivy League schools that's what the pirates, the men of fire, did with their wealth, with their fortunes. So knowing that the pirates are the firemen, and looking at this movie where the firemen, their job was to destroy books, and by a certain time there was supposed to be no books in existence if their goal was achieved. It's like, oh, okay, they're telling us in broad daylight, man, like, yo, the cremation of care. You know what I'm saying? The firemen, the pirates, you know. Very good movie. Fahrenheit 451. You know, and also who taught the pirates how to sail? But the Moors. All right, so that pretty much touches on the cremation of care ritual. You know what I'm saying? You know, feel free to leave comments. You know what I'm saying? If you have any other questions and stuff, hit us up. Check us out on check me out on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Got some great products for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Some floor washes, grease bags. You know what I'm saying? For protection, protection magic, candles. You know what I'm saying? We got all kinds of stuff coming out. You know what I'm saying? I just gotta upload all the products and everything and let you know. But feel free to hit me up on IG, Instagram, abode _of_ some moon. The link is in the description. You know what I'm saying? And good looking. Peace.